Welcome everyone to our gardening class today at McKenzie Health System. My name is Julia Albrecht. I am the Sanilac County Start Collaborative Director through the Intermediate School District. I just started. I'm kind of in a new position. I'm happy to kind of help co-host this training session today, our Lunch and Learn. I want to introduce our speaker today, Mary Martin. She is here and going to teach us about some container gardening. I wanted to just kind of note what things she's involved in. She does the beautiful garden at the Sandusky Library. She and her companion in crime, husband, Luke. You'll claim him today, right?
Yes, I will claim him.
That's because she wants the bags moved.
Gotta help clean up.
They take care of the Sandusky Library garden. And then she also just mentioned the Garden 𝗠𝗿𝗆𝗿𝗆 Club. I don't know if Cheryl, if you want to come stand up here just real quick, because if you want to just speak on to how people can participate in the 𝗠𝗿𝗆𝗿𝗆 Club.
Okay.
And the Zoom is right here if you just want to speak really fast. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Cheryl Caster, and I am on the program committee for the 𝗠𝗿𝗆𝗿𝗆 Garden Club of Sandusky. We've been in existence for 72 years, and we meet every month on the second Wednesday at 6 o'clock. We have various locations. We've already had our April meeting, which was basically a business meeting, but our main meeting is at a greenhouse in town on Chester Street, but probably an easier meeting for someone new to attend would be our June meeting, which is at the library. And that's at 6 o'clock on the second Wednesday, and that would be June 11th. So hopefully we'll see you there.
Yeah. Okay. All right, I'll go ahead and pass it off to Mary.
All righty, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, like she said, my name is Mary Martin. This is my husband, Louis, and we take care of the Sandusky Library Gardens. We've done that now for, I believe it's 6 years. So we started with a kind of a, when we walked in, they said we have a blank slate, we can do whatever we wanted to. So you can see we've done anything we wanted to. So today we're going to talk about container gardens. Why container gardens? They're easier to maintain. If you're having a hard time getting up and down off the ground, like some of us were talking earlier, it just makes it easier because you can put them up somewhere and take care of them. You can move them if it's not right. Some people have a patio. They don't have much space. They work perfect for small spaces. So one thing you're going to want to do is think about how much sun that area gets, because you got to have some sun. And I always tell people, when you're thinking about having containers around your house or anything, go out there, put an empty pot there and look up. And the reason why you're looking up is you want to see where your roof line falls, because there's a drip line that comes down, and you want to make sure that that container is not in that drip line area, because you'll drown them out and you're getting all the crap that comes off your roof into those containers. And you really don't know what all is in that. So you want to make sure you look up and say, okay, I'm going to need to move it this way or back this way. You don't want it underneath the eave either, where it's going down like this and it drips over here, because then it's not getting any rain at all. So you want to make sure you look at your space, kind of watch where you're going to plant it. Then you start out with a container. And it doesn't have to be a big pot. You know, if you get those great big pots, and you've all seen them, that they're huge and they're real high, you think, wow, I'm going to have a dump truck bring a load of dirt for that. The secret to that is you can take your leftover pots that are left over, any type of container that will fit down in there like this. You make a void in the bottom of that. And then you put a ground cloth over it. Water bottles, milk jugs, any of those will work as a filler down in the bottom of that pot. And then you can put your ground cloth in there, put the soil in there, and then go. Because you really only need about this much area for your flowers to grow. That's all the soil it needs. It doesn't need a pot that's this deep. So Just keep that in mind. 6 inches is all you really need for growing plants. 6 to 8 inches. So this is our container. I bought this one, believe it or not, at Walmart's last year. Because I saw it and I went, ooh, wouldn't that make a nice, cool planter? So what I've done is I've had Lou drill a hole in the bottom, because you always want to make sure you have a hole in the bottom. And that's because the rain comes in, and everybody knows the kind of rains we've had lately. You know, that way there's a way for the water to go drain out. So you're not overwatering. What I do when I do have the holes in there, coffee filters. They brought me one of these because I forgot my coffee filter today. And at the minute I looked at that and I went, you know, these can be reused, because these can go right down into your pots that you're gonna plant. It's gonna hold on to the soil in there so it doesn't fall out the little hole there. It may not be very big, but it can still, if we get a hard enough rain, come running out. So something like this, you could line your pots with it. It's a way of reusing it, keeping it out of the landfill, sorry to say. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just take a piece of coffee filter, put it in the bottom here over that hole. And then I'm gonna take the potting soil and we're gonna dump it right in like that. Now, I'm gonna talk a little bit about potting soil. Is when you're buying it, I'm gonna go back to the containers real quick first. The containers, size does matter. The bigger, the better. You know, because you wanna have room for them to grow. This will actually, because I also do a square foot garden class, I know for a fact that this container right here, I could grow 2 tomato plants in it and get all the tomatoes I wanted out of it. So if you think of it in feet, that's the easiest way. We've got a lot of little plants that we're gonna put in this container. So this will look absolutely just in a couple months. And they are small. We are gonna raffle this off today too. So just so you know, some lucky winner is gonna take this home with them. So any of the containers, if you're gonna be using terracotta, one of the things you need to do with a terracotta pot is before you even get your stuff out, get a bucket of water and your terracotta pot that you're gonna plant up. Take that terracotta pot and set it in that bucket of water and let it set while you're getting everything else clean, you know, set out for doing the project. And the reason you do that is because terracotta will absorb moisture. And if you don't do that, this nice moist soil right here is gonna be drier than you know what. Because the terracotta pot has leached out all of the moisture out of your soil. So always soak your terracotta pots for at least, you know, probably 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes is all it takes. That way your pot has already got moisture in it, it's got what it wants, you can plant it up and it's not gonna take away from the plants. So we're gonna put our soil in here. And I'm gonna have these other nice big bags. When you're in soil, don't go cheap. Whatever you do, you find out the hard way, it doesn't work well. You get what you pay for. You never know if it's got weed seeds in it. It can be hard. Some of that, the cheap stuff, they went out to a field and they dug up some dirt. I call it dirt because there's a difference between soil and dirt. Dirt is what we don't want. Dirt is what we sweep off the floor. And soil is what we're gonna plant in. So you wanna buy a good quality. A lot of times it will have on here, like this one says, it feeds up to 6 months. This has already got a slow release plant food in it. You know, so you don't have to do that. The other thing you can do to help out your containers, especially if you're ones that kind of go away for weekends during the summer, and I'm sure there's some of you guys that do that you're gone for the weekend and you go, oh, get those hanging pots there, right? They're gonna dry out, what am I gonna do? You know, you have options of drip irrigation that you can use for. They have out there what's called moisture crystals, and I'll pass these out These are actually called water beads, and you can use them for bases too. It's just a little package of these little beads. But now I put a little bit of water in this cup just a few minutes ago, and this size turns into this size. So they hold the water. So these I can take, I'm gonna pass them around so you can see them. But you can take those and work them into the soil before you put your pots in there at that level. Because then the water crystals are gonna absorb the water. You know, because you're gonna puff them up before you kind of stick them in here, because they do like to absorb water.
Where can we buy those?
You can buy, actually, I bought these ones at the Dollar Tree.
Oh.
They're in with they're down the floral aisle. And they're called water beads, they're for putting flowers and stuff in. But they also, Walmart used to carry what's called moisture crystals, is another name for them. And I mean, it takes just a little bit. Well, I will show you. This plastic bag is my demo bag. This is what the moisture crystals look like. And these are 5 years old.
Oh.
So they turn into like a gel. Now, the one disadvantage of those is if you're out in your gardens and you decide to put a little bit in your flower beds, if you spill those at all on your sidewalk and it rains, they're still gonna puff up. You're gonna have this slimy mess, just like what's in the bag, all over your sidewalk, and you gotta try to clean it up. That's the one disadvantage of those. But I mean, they turn kind of mushy. And they just live in there and they're happy because when it rains, they're gonna absorb more water. And then the plants can draw that water, the moisture from those beads.
How did you retrieve that?
How did I retrieve that?
Yeah, out of the pot.
I didn't take that out of the pot.
Oh.
What I did was I took the moisture crystals and put them in a glass. Well, actually, I think I put them in the Ziploc bag and added a cup of water.
So that's. Oh, that.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
yeah, that is my demo that I take every that works. You know, so we got our soil in here, and we already talked about, you know, if it's a very large pot, that you can use the filler for, you know, so you don't have to. But then you're gonna decide how you wanna make the arrangement. This one we're gonna make so it kind of flows off, because when we, you know, there's only 2 greenhouses open right now. The ones that are open are expensive, I'll tell you that right now. So we only have a few plants and they're small for this time of year. So what we're gonna decide is there's paper. I've even got a little picture here that we're gonna talk about the thriller, the spiller, and the filler. And how that goes is your thriller is gonna be something that comes up like this, you know, tall. We're gonna have the geranium and then these two on either side like this. We're gonna put more soil in here. And then we're gonna have the spillers that come down like so. And then we're gonna have a little bit of shoosh in the front, color, and we're gonna fill in with pansies. So it will be, once it starts growing, it will be extremely beautiful. So what I will do is I will scoop some more soil in here. I'm gonna put that bag a little bit closer. My helper right. I am gonna take and put some water in here because the soil is kind of damp. So as you go, add some water, kind of mix it in. My bottle is leaking.
Yeah.
Quiet this. That way I can get, because a lot of times if you buy it, it's quite dry. So you gotta sit there and when you first do it, put it in there. Here. We'll just do it this way.
That's right.
Don't mess. that in there. As you can see, I don't mind getting my,
You wanted to play in the mud anyway.
I haven't been able to do that in a couple of weeks now. One day that we were able to go to the library and, but I wanna make sure that this is damp so that it's gonna stay good. Now, it's to take this home today. We're gonna put it in like a plastic bag. Because this weather, this colder weather we're having, I was gonna ask you, when you bought your tools, how did you bring them home? Did you just walk out there with those little flowers?
I put one in, my husband said, "Well, it's in your time." So,
Well, they are cool weather crops, so they would be okay. But when you go to a store, like right now, if you were to go to the greenhouse, we had a beautiful day when we went. It was 60 degrees. So day to go buy flowers. Now, yesterday and today are a whole different game. Because when you bring plants home, the greenhouses, and it's cold, what you wanna do is you wanna make sure you put it in a paper bag or a plastic bag first, and then into a paper bag. Or the other thing is, we brought them into coolers, the portable coolers. They get sunburn, they get windburn, just like what we do. In the cold weather, these plants from a greenhouse, they're not used to the cold outside. The pansies are, because they were outside. But I mean, most plants are not used to the cold weather. So you wanna make sure they get acclimated. So when you bring them home, when you buy plants. Because my favorite pastime is taking my brothers to the store, I'll watch people on holiday time when they're bringing out plants.
oh,
And I'll sit there and go, well, that one's gonna die. That one will die. And then they'll wonder with these plants, because you know, well, all the leaves fell off. It's because it froze. Yeah, it gets cold, just like we do.
the roots are still good though.
Not always. Sometimes it be, sometimes. And when you're buying plants, make sure you look at them. Don't be afraid to sit there in the greenhouse and do one of these. See, like this one, they're root bound. So they need to be loosened up. So I better put that back in the pot till we're ready for it. Because I'm still working. But you wanna look at them, and if you wanna make sure that they don't get pests in them, take them, look underneath the leaf. Sure, it's this a good healthy plant, that there's not any like spider mites, any bugs, any stuff. You want healthy plants. I mean, you're paying good money for this stuff. You wanna make sure you get the good stuff. So we're gonna keep filling. I'm only gonna go up so high because we got handles on either side. So that's about the height we'll go. So then I'm gonna spray this in again. And I've got it so that it's damp. And now we can have fun with the plants. So don't be afraid to ask them in the store when you're buying plants, can you put that, because I've had them ask me, do you want that in a bag? Well, yes, I want it in a bag. It's 30 degrees outside. You know, I'd really like a cooler bag for it if you wouldn't mind, you know. Okay, so this is a couple spikes that we've got. So when you're taking them out of the pots, I'll leave the tags in there for you. What I'm gonna do is just kind of bust this up, because if I leave this going, see how these roots are going round and round like this? If I was to just plant this up like that, the roots are still gonna go round in a circle. So as I tell the kids, tickle the roots a little. Just give them a little tickle. And we're gonna kind of set that one right there. And I'll put filler around them when we're done. And this is called something spike. Dracarinea.
Are those two the same kind of spikes?
Yeah, they're the same kind of spikes. These actually, I have had people We've taken these in the fall and they will grow in the house and they'll get bigger. And sometimes they will turn into a tree. Some of these spikes and things, they're a tropical plant. And they kind of
I
like it.
started with one like that, now it's got a thing on it like this, because I take it in every winter.
Yeah,
It's huge. And now I have,
geraniums are the same
and
way.
now I have 4 babies.
4 babies underneath it.
Yeah,
Now,
and
see-
I'm curious how to separate them.
I think we'd probably have to dig it up and kind of out of the pot and see. Cause it might be one, that would have been a great one to come bring to the house plant class.
Oh,
But even
Next
this
year.
one,
next year.
if you notice, yeah, next year. Maybe we might do one in the fall, you never know. And then this is a geranium. But see, even the roots here are the same way, and I'm just gonna kind of free them up. Get them dangling down. I want you to go down, and don't feel bad if you pull a couple off like that. It won't hurt the plant at all. But one thing, when you do take it home, after you get this nice thing done, when you're buying plants, I bought them with flowers on them, but if I was to buy them for myself, I would go in and I would look at the flats and say, okay, that's the color I want. And then I'm gonna look for a flat that has no buds on it whatsoever. And the reason being, those are nice tender plants, they're ready to be planted, and it's gonna take all of its energy and concentrate on forming a sturdy root ball, and then it will bring up the blooms. If you get them that already got blooms on them, and you put them in a pot like this geranium right here, we're gonna snip the top off it, because it's gonna say, oh, do I send my energy to my flowers, or am I gonna send my energy down to my roots? So by pinching this off when we're done, it's gonna concentrate all of its energy on forming sturdy roots so that it grows better.
That's
So-
hard to do sometimes.
I know, you know, cause we made it a point of picking out ones that had flowers on them yesterday, cause it was like, well, we got some flowers, so what they're getting instead of just this green pot.
You know what I use for filler sometimes, the spider plants I have.
Yep, spider
that
plant
in.
babies work
Yeah.
really well. And you can make that your
And they
thriller too.
multiply.
Yeah, and they multiply because they hang them, have the little runners coming off them. The little babies that come off, and I'm gonna put that tag right there. And that tag there, so they know what they're getting. All right, these are vinca vine. There's another one. You plant this out in a flower bed, and this will grow and grow and grow. It will have little purple flowers on it. I will tell you, it's invasive. Just so you know, I like to tell people when they're getting something invasive. Now, all of these, they've done really well in the greenhouse, haven't they? I was reading on their flyer that they actually have free plant food there, that if you bring your jug in for free, they'll fill it up for you, their plant food. At Campbell's.
Well, they don't fill it up for you, you fill it up yourself.
Do you?
You just take water from milk jugs, and it's outside, it's some hose, at least it was last year.
Yeah.
It's a hose, and you just
Fill it up.
turn the switch and fill it up, yeah. Yeah, I take a milk jug.
It says whatever container you take there, they will fit, you know, that you can fill it for free, you know, it's like. I haven't been there in a while, so. But
Well,
that was the only
last year-
greenhouse. we
Last
do.
year it was right out front. It was right before it even went in the building, it's outside,
Okay,
right on the edge of the parking lot where you walk under the over.
all right, so we've got those kind of positioned there.
Yeah. No, it's just a water hose, yeah, just a.
And what we're gonna, on this one, even though this soil says it's got 6 months plant food in there, I'm gonna kind of put some what's called Osmocote, sprinkle it around on top. It's a slow release fertilizer. And once you get everything in, you put that in there and then you can water it in. I would show you the original package, but my original package I've had for so long that it got damaged, so I had to put it in this. But this one's called Multi-Coat All-Purpose Slow Release Plant Food. And that's all it is. And it's like, it's not very expensive, comes in a good sized jar.
Where do you get it?
You can get it right at Walmart's. If you go back into the patio section, they have any type of plant food you want in there. So you want to make sure that you look at what you're buying, what you want. Because they've got rose food, they've got hydrangea food, they've got blueberry food, vegetable, any of that. They have it. Now, these ones are not so much, but what I do is I kind of break it a little like this, and it kind of teases the roots open. Because if I left it and put it in there, just like it is, when you take it out, because these sedums, these are for a fairy garden, but they'll work for this. But those can be put out in a flower bed, and I think they would be like a perennial. That they will come back every year, so you might want to
What
take
is
them
it?
out.
What is it?
It's a sedum.
Oh, a sedum.
Yeah. It's called sedum ogon. O-G-O-N.
Sedum's good enough for me.
Yeah. Now, what were the other flowers we talked about? So I'm just gonna go along and kind of stick some soil in there, I guess. It's gonna be good, even with that, but we'll still stick some pansies in here. Now, when you put them in, you wanna make sure your soil level, it's at the same level as what the plant soil level was in the pot. So I'm not gonna go up way high on this geranium at all. I wanna make sure that it's seeded in there and the soil only comes up to where the soil actually was. See, this is my, see, I've got dirty fingers. So this is the bottom of my plant. That's where the soil line is. That's where I'm gonna plant it, is up to that soil line. So now we need some of these lovely things in there. And these, if you just squeeze them. And these are another one. These are little Johnny jump ups or pansies, whatever you wanna call them. I would automatically do this, kind of rip the roots just like this, and then pop them in. We'll put one over here. Let's put a white one on the other side. Need some filter in too. Oh. Now these like the cold weather. They're more of a cold weather type thing, but I will stick. Got enough. 6 and 6 is 12. Darn, I was thinking we had enough for everybody to have some pansies to take home. And then we need the yellow. So then we're gonna put this one in there.
Barry, how often are you doing the plant food?
The plant food, most of them will last all summer long.
Or you just put it on?
So you can just sprinkle it on when you plant them. You can take, I had working at a greenhouse for one summer. And what we would do is when people would buy the hanging baskets, we sent along a little package of the slow release fertilizer. And our instructions were you take it home, you sprinkle that on the top of the soil. And then every week you do a watered down, a diluted solution of Miracle-Gro and water. And it just takes a little, you know, like I think it was half strength or something like that, third strength. And then you just water it in once a week. And you'll have beautiful plants. So, and they had beautiful plants. You had a question.
Well, you can buy the Miracle-Gro packets that go right in your, it's just a packet. Like
Yep.
on Amazon or something, it's fits the size of your gallon or your 2-gallon
Mhm.
sprinkler.
No measuring involved in it.
No measuring involved. just
Yeah.
dump it.
They're doing it.
See, I'm used to buying a box of Miracle Grow and mixing it up and,
Yeah, no.
you know, and you just, one thing I will.
Yeah.
Cause when I did my houseplant presentation at the library, we got on the subject of watering plants. And if you have a water softener or anything like that, the best kind of water to give your plants is I take, when I water my plants, I have gallon jugs of water. When I'm done watering for the day, I fill those jugs up and they set aside until the next time I water. So it's always what I call stale water, where it's set. Have a water softener, it's not good for your plants because of the salt. So if you're having an issue with not being able to grow plants, that's probably part of it. If you have a water softener. Now I'm just trying to fill in with some soil.
What's better? Filtering the water or let the hard water just sit?
If you let it set, at least what I've always been told, is if it sets, it's gonna settle. And all of that sediment or whatever, the micro, whatever in the water is gonna settle to the bottom.
Cause I have a water filter that's in the fridge. And I can easily fill up something to water the plants.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think the water, you know, the drop-in water filters, I don't think that they have salt, do they?
Now, I think it's activated charcoal. You got a Beretta?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a,
and that, and in all reality, you don't wanna water them. Do you like a cold shower?
No.
They're not gonna like a cold shower either. You know, so that, you know, if you let it set for a week, you know, like I water my plants once a week. It's, yeah, there's always one that wants a cold shower. Well, if you're having a hot flash, yes, you're gonna want a hot shower. I can understand that completely. But I mean, you know, if by letting it set, it's at room temperature.
Right.
So it's more comfortable because I can stand washing in, you know, room temperature water, not cold,
Right.
unless I really wanna wake myself up. And I've never been that sleepy that I needed to wake myself up. So then I'm just gonna kind of lightly tuck in and make sure there's no gaps and stuff, because I wanna make sure. See? It turned out good. You know, for little plants. I was quite surprised when we went and I went, wow, they're as big as a plant now right now.
yeah, you're right.
So when would you put it outside?
This can go out when it's warm enough that, you know, like when you put the other plants out. I would say probably late May. Cause usually by Memorial Day, it's warm enough to go out and put your garden and stuff in. I would keep this inside until then. If you have a screened-in porch or something that's warmer, you can put it there. On the warmer days, like when the sun comes out, like, what is it? I think it's Friday, it's supposed to be 70 degrees. This gets set outside for that day, as long as we don't have those whipping winds.
Right.
Or snow flurries.
Or snow flurries, like we had yesterday. We have Michigan weather though. You gotta say that. So then, the thing you can do with this, and I would have, is you can take mulch. And the mulch can be colored stones. It can be wood chips. It can be seashells. And what the mulch does is it helps hold the moisture in You know, once they get some moisture, then it's gonna help them hold on to that moisture. And nothing will dry out. So that kind of helps too. But I'm trying to think, is there anything else that we have questions on that I can answer? Now I'm gonna take the slow release fertilizer. And see, it looks just like little pellets. That's all it is. And I'm gonna just kind of sprinkle it around everything. It won't hurt anything. There'll be some. I will tell you that I don't believe in fertilizer spike. Anybody thinks they've got to do those. And the reason being is when you use a fertilizer spike, the fertilizer spike goes in by your pot. See your plant's right here. You put a fertilizer spike in there. It's sitting there and you water it. All of that concentration, because the fertilizer spike dissolves. And it will only dissolve into that one area. So this side of the plant is gonna look fabulous. The other side is screaming, what are you doing to me? Because this side is getting way too much really, and this side isn't getting any at all. So by using something like this, it doesn't. And you just sprinkle it on the top of the soil. All around these plants. And then we'll water everything real good. And I think I missed a spot over here. So I think basically we've kind of covered it. If there's any questions, any at all, bring it on. So I'm gonna water it in. And I guess we got to figure out how we do a drawing for this.
Jess, who has an April birthday? Anybody have an April?
How many April birthdays are in here? Nobody?
Okay.
Who has a birthday around May 1st? No. When were you guys
I was
born?
born in May, but not till
13.
All right, no other Mays? Wow, okay.
May win.
May flowers.
Okay. And there we go. Yes.
What kind of
I used it was it's multi-coat, all-purpose plant food.
Okay.
You can buy it right at Walmart's. They have it. And it works very well on the plants.
What kind of a package does it come in?
It comes in a bottle about this tall. Yeah. And it's about that square. It's enough for, because you only put in just a sprinkle on each plant. I think it comes with a measuring cup and it says like that cap full for a 4-inch pot, which would be one of these. This is considered a 4-inch pot. So it would be that. So
And the watering beads you only do once a year?
the watering beads is only when you first plant it up.
Okay.
You can put them in there. And you don't have to use those. It's just something that is out there that you can use. But doesn't mean you have to do it because we really didn't do them in here. I just made sure that the soil was nice and moist. And this you're gonna wanna check. And the easiest way to see if plants need water is use your old finger here. Mine's not gonna be very helpful. Let's kind of wipe this one off. All right, it's fairly clean. So I would stick it in, it comes out, put it in there about an inch. I come out with dirt, so it's watered in.
No, you come out with soil.
I come out with soil, yes, because it's where we want it. It's not on the floor.
See, I was listening.
Yeah, now I heard the other day, an expert said the difference between soil and dirt was soil has got more nutrients in it than dirt. I'm going,
Well, that sounds.
that's a
good.
classic way of saying, you know. soil is where we want it, and dirt is where we don't want it.
If your husband starts walking in after he got out of the garden, it's going to the house.
It's dirt.
It's
It's
dirt.
dirt. Tracking, the dogs track in dirt. They never track in soil. So this would be watered probably once a week. But you do have a place that you can kind of,
Oh, yeah.
okay, and just making sure.
So if it's on the south window, can I leave it there?
Yeah.
In front of the window?
Yeah.
It'll be-
Yes, because these are all, about the only one that likes the cooler weather are the pansies.
Okay.
But the rest of them prefer, and
Oh, there she
Okay.
goes, there she goes.
there I go, there I go. She's gonna, that's just driving Barb crazy, but you know what, I already see little shoots coming up. And I got no fingernails whatsoever, there we go. And when you do geraniums, please go down to the bottom, you're gonna see a little knuckle there. And you snap it off at that knuckle. And then you'll have more shoots that come up. Don't just go out there, and I've seen them where they've taken scissors and picked off every one of these. It's like, why are you doing it so hard? You know, you wait until these start spent flower. This one's losing petals. So then I would deadhead and I would take that all off.
Do those ever had seeds that develop in those things, you know, that after the seeds would develop?
I know there's seed geraniums out there, but I've never seen.
Well, I've never
With a
left
seed
it long
pod.
enough to see if there's a seed.
Yeah.
I guess I don't have the patience for that or something, I just nip them off.
When I look at when they're all spent, like
Some
this
of them
one.
get real big.
Now, I do know that, how many in here like petunias? Now, petunias, believe it or not, will have, when it's done blooming, it will have like this little thing right here. And it will turn brown in the center. If you open that up, that's got like petunia seeds. At the Sandusky Library, we have not planted an annual there in 3 years. All of the annuals that come up there have come up from seed. It's whether we get, I've taken the spent little things and kind of sprinkle them around, but they grow up, and I mean, we have alyssum, we have petunias, we have snapdragons. And they always come up every year.
So when you go to a nursery and you see these really nice geraniums, and then you see these little geraniums that say seed geraniums. So how did these get started? These big ones,
Those ones, I think, they might be from cuttings,
okay.
because you can do cuttings on geraniums.
Yeah.
I have never attempted to do cuttings, but I do know that you can do cuttings, and they can take part of that geranium and then
Yeah.
put it into a.
Well, I
really
usually
normal-
get seed geraniums and they grow up big.
Yeah.
You just gotta be patient,
Yep,
you know,
they're
it's not
just
a,
smaller than the
it's
others,
not an
and cheaper.
instant, it's not an instant
Yeah.
fix of beauty, you have to wait and let
Yeah.
it get that big, but, yeah.
And like this one, you take this and pot it up in the fall, take it in your house and have it as a plant all winter, and it will bloom in the winter too. Just put them in a nice warm spot, geranium. So they like a nice sunny warm spot, and you'll have wonderful geraniums, yes.
You said that, you pot tomato plants, can you pot any and all vegetables in pots like that?
If you got a pot big enough, presentation on gardening and the grow square foot gardens, and they're 4x4 beds, and they're 6 inches deep. And I have grown corn, I've grown potatoes, tomatoes, anything that you grow in your garden, you can grow in the square foot gardens. So if you have, say, and I know friends who grow their tomatoes in 5-gallon buckets. That they make sure there's holes in the bottom for drainage.
Right.
They fill it up with soil and plant their tomatoes in them and have them on around the patio.
But you gotta water them like.
But you've gotta water them. Well, even some flowers, you know,
Yeah.
some of them suck up more water, that you might have to water this twice a day during the summer.
The wind dries them.
But yeah, the wind can dry them out. You know, so, yeah, you can grow just about in anything. You know, we had probably 25 years ago, we had a pile of mulch that we hadn't got to, it was wood chips that we had out by my potting shed, and we grew a pumpkin that the birds had dropped seed in, and we had a pumpkin this big around. They grew on the mulch pile. He wanted to pull it out, I said, let's see if it has pumpkin on it. So that year, for Halloween, didn't have to buy one. So, but yeah, you can grow just about anything. And they have varieties of tomatoes out there that are for nothing but growing on your patio. They're called patio tomatoes. And that's what they're made for. They're made to be grown in a container, on a porch. You know, you can do these with herbs. You can do it with all flowers. You can do a combination where you have a vegetable, a flower, and your herbs all in the same pot. You know, so it's just what you want to do with your imagination.
One time, my cousin took one of those big old wagon wheels, the wood with all the, and she laid it flat on the ground, and between each one, she planted a different herb.
Oh. Yeah.
And it was pretty nice.
Yeah, she made an instant herb garden.
Yeah.
And who doesn't like a few herbs here and there? No, I like them. But you can, whatever your imagination will allow you to do. And now, don't be afraid of plants. You know, we have to, as I told class from the house plant class, you have to have 15 plants in your house. So that your air is
You said only
15.
That's better.
15 to keep your air fresh in your house. They take out plants, as you know, breathing carbon dioxide, that they will absorb chemicals that we have in our homes. They will absorb and put out oxygen in its place. So for a healthy home, you need to have at least 15 houseplants. So that's my use of having them, and I'm not gonna change.
Is that include a smoke house?
I would do more.
Smoke.
If somebody else in there, I would do more.
Okay. Spider plants, they say, are the best.
Yep.
Philodendrons, and there's a third one, but I never can remember the third one. But I know spider plants.
And it doesn't make any difference whether the plain green one or the variegated, either one of the spider plants. Why do I wanna say it's the snake plant, mother-in-law,
It is, I don't know.
but any of the
Yeah, it's all
philodendrons
seed.
and,
Okay. Never heard of that.
yeah,
Very easy to grow.
yeah,
So
very
now
easy to
we know
grow and, so,
Yeah.
any other questions? If not, I'm gonna thank everybody for coming. Congratulations on the and hopefully we'll see you next year. Your containers, okay? All right.
I wanted to give a quick plug for our upcoming classes. What month are we in? May 21st, we're gonna have an adults living with ADHD class, same place, same time. And then June 18th, there's a fair for fun. The garden lovers out there.
That's
When is that one?
June 18th. It should be on the McKenzie website. Thank you all for coming.